Yo, what's up guys? This is EvoZims and you're watching the fourth video in my Java coding series. So from this video onwards, we're going to be working with Eclipse for the most part. This is the program that we downloaded in the second video. Link to that is going to be in the description. Also be sure to check out the end of that video so you can see the setup for Eclipse so you don't have to worry about all the clutter and stuff like that. So in this video, we're going to be working with Eclipse, like I said, and we're also going to be working with a little bit of variables, so a little bit of math and stuff like that. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get straight into it. So the first thing I want you guys to do is go ahead and open Eclipse up. You should be able to see at least the package explorer on the left. Go ahead and right click the package explorer. And then you want to go to Java project. You want to create a new Java project, right? So then we're going to have a project name. I'm just going to type in YouTube, but you can put in whatever you want. Just hit finish over here. Don't worry about anything else. And now let's open up the YouTube folder. And now we have the source folder as well as the JRE system library. This is always going to be there regardless. So we're just going to worry about the source folder. And then we're going to right click the source folder and open a new package. And that package is going to be something else. We're going to name it, I guess we're going to name it like demo. Yeah, that's cool. And then we'll go new class. So we're going to make a new class now. So it's pretty much three things. You have to make the Java project, and you go in the source folder and you make the package. And once you make the package, then you can make as many classes as you want in the whatever package you have. Cool, right? So we'll make one class over here. The class, by the way, is like a file. It's really simple. Files and classes are kind of just the same thing. That's how I like to think about it. So we're going to name the class test. Always capitalize the first letter in the class names, and then don't worry about anything else. We'll worry about that later, and just hit finish. Okay, so now this is what you see. It's going to say package, what package you're currently in. We're in the demo package, and we have the class name right over here. And now we're going to be making the main method. As I said before in the previous video, Java programs require two main things. That is the class name and the main method. So the main method is always public static void main string args. Okay, and then you're going to have the open bracket or brace. And if you press enter over here, it's going to automatically create a new brace for you with the formatting and everything. So yeah, now I'm going to be talking about why exactly we're using Eclipse. So what is Eclipse really? Eclipse is actually an IDE. This stands for Integrated Development Environment. In other words, it's basically a program that allows you, or rather helps you, to make more programs. Pretty simple, right? But how does it do that? Well, think of it like this. Imagine your teacher wants you to type up an essay using Microsoft Word. So, well, Word is pretty useful because it allows you to identify incorrect spelling, punctuation, formatting, etc. Eclipse is basically the same thing. You already saw that it could do formatting for you. And if I wanted to type in, for example, that system.out.print line that we did last video, we can do that as well, just by typing syso. And then we use the shortcut control space, and then it'll show you a bunch of different suggestions, and we're going to be using the sysout right here, print to standard out. It even shows the code for it. So you can either click this or press enter. I'm going to press enter. So you want to get into the habit of using your keyboard for the most part, and you really just don't want to use your mouse for coding for the most part. But yeah, it just makes things a lot faster that way. So that's pretty much the reason why we use Eclipse. It'll help you correct errors and stuff. So let's say I did not capitalize system.out.println. It actually just capitalizes it for me. And if I don't, like, let's say I just put PR or P something, and I just put the parentheses, it's gonna be like, hello, there's an error over here. It says the method PR is undefined. It just means that there's some kind of issue. You can also see it over here, and you can also see it over here, all the way on the right. So if you have, let's say for example, your code was just like really long, like super long, you can see what lines I'm at, right? It says that there's an issue over here, and I can just click that error, and it shows me that there's an issue on line 9, and the issue is that this does not mean anything. Yeah, and this doesn't either. So yeah. Alright, now with that out of the way, we can start working a little bit with variables, right? So let's go ahead and do that. There is an issue right now hopefully you can point it out. It's actually the fact that I don't have braces, and if I put a brace right here, it actually just fixes itself and puts itself lined up with the thing over here. So you pretty much want to have your grouping symbols lined up with the first letter, I guess. That's like one good way to do formatting. So I'm going to enter a couple times, put the brace right here. Very simple. All right, so now what we're going to do is start coding within the main method as we would normally do. You do not want to code outside the main method. That's not a good idea. I'll just do that for you just in case you guys want to see. And we have some kind of error. This is the same exact code we usually use, but it has an error. If we put it in here, it's totally fine. A couple of really important keyboard shortcuts I'm going to teach you guys really quick. Control X for cut and paste, Control V. You also have Control C, and then you can Control V, Control V, Control V. But what I like to do, if I wanted to copy a bunch of lines, I do Control Alt and then down arrow key. And I can do that as many times as I want. I can also press up arrow key. So that's very useful. Page up and page down do get sometimes useful. The one really important thing you want to know is how to highlight without using your mouse. So let's say I have this whole mumbo jumbo, right? And usually I just highlight like this. If I want to end it at the G right there, I'd do like that. But you want to start using the home and end keys. These are really important. So let's say I have my arrow keys in order to move around over here. And so I wanted to, let's say, highlight this entire thing without moving my mouse. I would actually hold Shift and then End to get all the way to the end over here. Vice versa, if I press End right now, my cursor is now at the end over here. And now I can go and hold Shift and then press Home, and it'll highlight the whole thing from the back. I can also use the arrow keys, like I'm using the right arrow key right now, left arrow key, and I can pretty much just go wherever I want, highlight whatever I want, you know what I mean? So it's really cool, extremely useful later, as you will find out when you start like naming things, and when you start like sometimes messing up your words and stuff like that. Mistakes happen all the time, so it's good to really understand how all these shortcuts will help be able to help you. The final and my most favorite thing in terms of formatting is going to be the Alt Shift, actually it's the Control Shift F key. What you want to do is press Control A to select all, and then you'd press Control Shift F, and that will allow you to pretty much format your entire code. It doesn't always help because sometimes it likes to do its own type of formatting, but I love it most of the time. At least I use it like maybe most of my programs. Anyway, so now finally, let's get into the variables. So I have a little chart over here I want you guys to check out before we start getting into this. So there are different types of data types. These aren't all of them. These are actually called primitive data types, except for the string over here. So data types are very important in Java, and you need to know all of them. The main ones that you will be using are going to be these 5. This is what I use all the time. In this video, we're going to be mainly working with int and doubles. Int means integers, and double just means an integer with a decimal. So yeah, an integer does not have decimals. So let's just give you an example. If I have the number 10, this would be an integer, otherwise known as int, right? And then we also have, like, let's say 10.2, and you can guess this is a double, and double is just double. It's an integer with a decimal. And so yeah, it's pretty much that simple. So how do we use this? Well, the basics has to do with this. You first type in the primitive data type, or just data type. In this case, we're going to be using an int, and then we have the variable name. The variable name can be anything you want, so long as it does not start with a capital letter or a number, I believe. So let's do like that. Yeah, so long as it does not start with a number or a capital letter, it should be fine. So I would probably do something like, let's just say x, integer x. I'm going to name the variable x, and I'm going to set that equal to a value. I can call the value like 10, and this number right here is called a literal. This is an integer literal. So you have the variable, sorry, this is the primitive data type, or just data type. And then you have the variable name, and then there's the literal. This equal sign pretty much sets 10 equal to x. So I guess you could say it's substituting. If you've ever taken algebra before, this is like cake. Like if you have some really simple equation like 2 plus x is equal to 5, what would x be? You would obviously know that x has to be 3. X is equal to 3. If x is equal to 3, then you just, you know, put 3 in here, and this is true. And I'll put like an O for correct. Anyway, you guys know how that works. That's simple algebra. Okay, so we have integer x over here. Now, what the heck do we do with this? Well, it's pretty cool. We can print out the x. So let's go ahead and do that. X, right? So now we initialize the variable x, that's what it's called, and we're going to print it out to the console using this line, right? And I'm just gonna delete some extra space over here. And then you want to press Control S. That will allow you to save. You can also hit the save button at the top left over here. And then you want to run the program by clicking this little run button over here, little play button, it's green. Click that. And then the console will show up and it'll show you the little answer we have over here. So the console, which is right here, shows us 10. If we go to this tab, we can see the little test class we have. And that is pretty sick, right? All right, so what I'm gonna do is click the console and then drag it down over here. Just click and drag all the way here so that we can now see the console as well as the code at the same exact time. So if I change this, like say for example, I change x to 20, what do you think would be shown in the console? Well, it's pretty obvious. It's gonna be 20. Uh-oh, you have a problem. Show console view. Bugs, most probably. That's very interesting. Null pointer exception. How are you getting a null pointer exception? Okay, that's fine. If I type in X. Yeah, okay, never mind. It's just being stupid. Yeah, so bugs like that happen all the time. If that happens, just close Eclipse, open it again, close the console, whatever you have to do. Yeah. Okay, so we're just gonna play around a little bit with the variables we have over here. So let's try doing like 1,000, 10,000, maybe even 100,000. Oh, by the way, you can't use commas. That doesn't work in Java. It's not gonna understand what the heck it is. So if you do want to have like a really long number, you're gonna have to like say it in your head or something. Like how many zeros comes after 1,000? Just 4. So you have to actually just memorize that. I mean, everyone knows that. It's not that hard. If you have to, I guess you could just do like, let's say you want to do 1 million, right? And then you just remove the commas afterwards. That's one way to do it. Simple. And then you can definitely just print that out as well. Very cool. Now you might be thinking, you're like, oh, God, this is so simple. It's just so basic. Like, what are we gonna do with this? Well, I'll tell you. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is learn how to add. Let's see if you guys can probably try that on your own. So what you want to do is integer y. You can name it whatever you want. I could just name this poop if I wanted to. It doesn't matter. I'm just gonna say y because it's like x plus y. You know what I mean? It's like regular algebra. And I'm gonna do. Let's just make this 2 million. Okay, and then we have to have a semicolon at the end of every statement. Don't forget the semicolon. If you don't have it though, the gods of Eclipse are gonna say, hey, yo, look, you can't do that, all right? And if you try to do that and you still try to run the program, it's gonna give you some kind of error. Errors exist. Will you still want to, do you still want to proceed with launch? And if you actually do press proceed, it's just gonna say an error. It's very simple. So yeah, don't forget that semicolon. All right, so we still see 1 million over here. Why? Well, that's because we haven't even printed out the y. Let's go ahead and do that as well. Now, I'm not going to copy the whole thing. I'm not going to type out the whole thing. I'm just going to copy it. So I'll just do that. And I'm going to type in y over here. So now we're printing out x and we are printing out y. Very, very cool. Cool. All right. But what if we wanted to add these two, or multiply them, or subtract them? You know, what if we want to do all that kind of stuff? Could we? Well, hell yeah, we can. Let's do it. So what you want to do is type in another integer. This is one way to do it. It's really simple. So I'm just gonna pretty much make this z. Actually, we'll call this the sum. All right. The sum of x plus y. Notice how I'm not typing the whole number 1 million and 2 million anymore. I don't have to do that. I only initialize it once, and then I can do whatever I want to them, as many times as I want to them. Check it out. So I have this integer sum, and I'm going to get rid of these two because it's just going to print out these numbers again. So I'm just going to get rid of them. Instead of deleting them, I'm going to be using these things called comments. It's control and backslash, I believe. Is that backslash or front slash? I wouldn't know. Anyway, okay, so what you want to do now is, well, actually, I'm going to ask you, what do you think I'm supposed to be printing out right now? Should I be printing out X? Should I be printing out Y? Should I print out int? Should I print out sum? Well, I'm going to type in syso, control space, enter, sum. And it's going to print out X plus Y. It's going to do the math for us. It's really cool. So we're going to press run, and there you go, 3 million. All right, so what do you think you could do with that? A lot of things. Let's try doing this. So actually, I'm gonna do this for you guys. We're gonna do this again. We're gonna copy paste it and do sum again. And I'm gonna show you guys how you cannot have a second duplicate variable. So yeah, that's one of the laws you cannot do. Other than that, I'm just trying to pretty much, I don't want to get into too much detail as to how this stuff works. I really just want to just play around with this with you guys and you know, let you guys just see how this stuff works. So let's do a little bit more complicated stuff. So because I'm assuming that you guys are kind of just like, whatever, it's cool. You can just try this out on your own, right? So we're gonna go ahead and do a difference. We're gonna make a, what's it called, a product. And then finally, as you would expect, the quotient, right? Oh God, spelling. All right, difference and quotient. So how do you do this? X minus y, semicolon, X asterisk y. Notice how I have a space between this. It's not like this, because this is really ugly. Make sure you have a space between your variables and symbols. It's very important. Semicolon, X divided by y, semicolon. Yeah. And so you do see this little error over here. It's not exactly an error. It just says that the variable is not used. And well, that's because it's not being used. We're not doing anything with sum. We're not doing anything with difference. We're just initializing it. We are doing something with X and Y. What are we doing with it? We are using it to, you know, add and subtract and stuff like that. So if you want to get rid of these yellows, the yellow little bar at the bottom, whoa, that's not what we wanted. Print ln. Make sure that doesn't happen to you. You don't want to use the wrong command. Make sure you always double check what you've actually written. Quotations or no quotations. I didn't even talk about that, huh? All right. So if you have quotations inside your print statement, I'm just gonna call this your print statement now. Okay. So if you have quotations, anything you print in it is going to be printed regardless of what it is. So let's give you a little bit of a tutorial on that. So I'm gonna run this, and it's only going to print out whatever is in that quotations. So as you'd expect, if I type in something like sum, what do you think's going to happen? Is it going to give us the sum of these two numbers, meaning 3 million, or is it going to just say sum? Well, like I said, it's just going to say whatever is in here, regardless of what it is, even if you've initialized this like 100 times, assuming you could actually do that, but you can't, by the way. So yeah, whatever's in quotations is always going to be in quotations. Your spacing and stuff like that doesn't matter if it's not in the quotations. So I'm going to do this. It's still the same. However, if I, for example, have spacing within the quotations, like I said before, everything in the quotations is always going to stay the same. See that? Very, very interesting. This is going to help you a lot later when you have to do some kind of formatting. Like let's say we wanted to make a menu or something like that. We could do that in a second. Okay, so what I want to do now is print out all of these. So very simply, I could just do system.out, and then I'm going to put sum in here. Remember, no quotations, because we're not trying to just print out the word sum. We don't want to do that. We want to print out the variable. And because of that, we have to, well, we can't have quotations. Very simple. And so we're going to copy this 3 other times, Control Alt down 3 times. And then I'm going to double click, type in diff, control space, double click, control space. It should give us something else to write, and we're gonna type in prod, control space. There we go. I'm pretty much just showing you guys how to get the autofill to work for you. I could press Q, control space, and the autofill comes up for you. Just press enter. There you go. See, I don't have to type in quotient. I didn't have to type in product. It just does it for me. And once you guys get faster at this, you'll be coding like nothing. It's gonna be really fast. And see this stuff right here. I didn't even talk about this either. When you have a comments basically means that this code is there but does not exist. Like it doesn't read it. So whenever I press run right over here, it'll go down, it'll read this. It's gonna say, oh, x is equal to a million. It's gonna say, oh, y is equal to 2 million. It's gonna say, oh, sum. What is sum? Sum is x plus y, difference x minus y, blah blah blah. And it's gonna go ahead and say, oh, it wants us to print out sum. Let's do that. It's gonna print out this, print out this, print out this. And then the code goes all the way down over here and says, oh, there's 2 lines of code over here. It does not even look at what the heck the code is. It just says, oh, there's comments. Do not look at it. Don't do anything. So it doesn't waste any kind of resources. Because if you guys didn't know, when you run a program, you actually do have to take in a little bit of your computer's resources so that it can actually calculate this stuff. Yes, this stuff is extremely minuscule and it does not really do anything to your CPU power and processing power, so you don't have to worry about that. But if you do have something that's like really big, like a huge game or something, yes, you can make a game using just this. I have like a bunch over here. Yeah, like a full-fledged game. I think I showed you guys that tic-tac-toe game earlier, but not even tic-tac-toe. There's like never mind. Anyway, so yeah, that's just the rundown of how a program in Eclipse will be run. Will be ran. Okay, so now let's run this. You can also press F11 if you want to run a piece of code. And so what does it do? It says, okay, so this is the sum, right? Let's match them. Sum is going to be right here. That's the sum. This is the difference right over here. 3 million minus 2 million is negative 1 million. Oh, just kidding. Never mind. This is x minus y. 1 million minus 2 million is of course negative 1 million. That's perfectly fine. Now we look at x times y and it's giving us this crazy weird number. This is not it, right? So we have a little bit of an issue over here. Now, what is the issue? Let's find out. That's the whole point of being a programmer. And then before we do that, I'm just gonna look at this last one, which is the quotient. And the quotient, which is x divided by y, 1 million divided by 2 million, it says it's 0. That's obviously wrong as well. So we gotta take a look. It wants me to wake up in 7.5 hours. Well, oh God. Okay. So I'm gonna quote these two out really quick and let's start working with these issues that we have over here. All right, so let's first work with quotient. So I'm gonna print this out once more. Sorry, we're gonna work with product. So let's do something. I'm gonna go in calculator. Well, I really don't have to do this because you guys already know how to do 2 times 1. 2 times 1 is obviously 2. So this should not be saying negative blah 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 blah. So why is it saying negative blah 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 blah? The issue with product is that the number, which is 1 million times 2 million, which is obviously going to be like a massive number, cannot be an integer. That's because the range of an integer is a lot smaller, and it's actually 2.1 billion. So yeah, we have integers right here, right? And the largest integer value is actually 2.147 blah 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 billion. And the smallest integer possible is negative 2.1 billion. As for doubles, the double value range is actually kind of weird. It varies for the most part, but if we wanted this answer to be correct, we would have to use a variable called long, a primitive data type called long, sorry. So I'm going to do that right now for you guys. I'm going to change these integers. You'd have to change all of them, by the way, just the ones that we're using. So yeah, and there's going to be type mismatches if you try to use this. So yeah, everything has to stay consistent. Everything has to go back to long. If we're going to change these two to long, at least. It's just some fundamentals that you guys have to know, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to comment them out so the program is not reading them and we don't have to worry about deleting everything. This is just to teach you guys that integers can't always be used. Run, and now we have this large ass number that would never be able to be shown by an integer. All right, so let's go ahead and Control Z everything. Okay, so now we're back over here, and now we're gonna check out this quotient. What the heck is wrong with this? Like literally, it should be totally fine, right? Well, this is an issue of another data type failure. Well, if you guys know, let me pull out my calculator. If you guys try to do 1 million divided by 2 million, you'll find out that it's actually 0.5. This little decimal right here is important. Remember when I talked to you guys earlier about how integers cannot have a decimal value? Well, this is the same thing over here. Integers can't have a decimal value, and thus it will never show anything that has a decimal. So what do we do? Well, very simple. We can use doubles. There's actually another data type called float, which you could use. That's totally fine as well. So we're gonna change this one to double and comment out all these. Instead of doing them each by themselves, I'm just gonna do them all at the same time. I highlight them all and press Control Backspace, and then it just did by itself. Okay, so now Control S and hit run. All right, so it does now show 0.5 as it's supposed to. Very cool. All right, so yeah. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more. And if you guys have any questions, don't forget to head over to my Discord server. The link to that is going to be in the description. That's where I can help you guys like one-on-one if you need to, voice call, text, whatever. So yeah, I can definitely make sure that you guys are getting the information that you need. If it's not, you know, totally apparent on the video or whatever. So other than that, part 2 is going to come out soon. It's not really a part 2, basically it's episode 5, I guess. It's going to be all the stuff that we have learned so far incorporated in a single program. It's going to be really cool. Hopefully you guys are going to enjoy that as well. I wanted to end this video by saying thanks very much to my new sub. His name is Average YouTuber. Thanks, man. This is a shout out to you. I'll have his channel link in the description. He's pretty much the reason why this video is coming out today. I'm working right now at 5 a.m. to make sure this gets out for him. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy, dude. And that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.